Companies like Shopify, OpenAI, Etsy process billions of dollars through Stripe. That is the payment infrastructure that handles over 300 compliance requirements so that you don't have to. And the thing is that so many devs get this wrong. They mishandle keys, they skip webhooking configuration. And in today's project, you are going to learn how to add in Stripe to an e-commerce website that is live deployed on Vercel. And you're going to learn all about how to set it up securely. You'll also learn about server-side pricing, webhooks, and signature verification. This is a project you're going to want to add to your resume, and it's going to impress recruiters. Let's just get straight into the video. If you want this entire project, head to learn.nextwork.org. This is called the Secure Payments with Stripe project. And as you're going through the project, make sure to fill in these questions and screenshots because you get documentation that you can then add to your own LinkedIn, GitHub, or any other platform. This is the stuff that is going to help you stand out to recruiters. You need to be able to show that you can document your work and actually prove your skills. This is part 2 of the FinOps AI series, so I'm assuming you've already deployed your Next.js e-commerce app. If you haven't, I'd recommend following this project guide or the YouTube video that I'll put on screen now to actually go ahead and complete this project. It's vital that you get this done. It's going to teach you the basics that you need for the project that we're about to do. All right, but let's get into today's project. The first thing we need to do is actually create a Stripe account. So I'm going to go to sign up and I'm going to create an account. I'm just going to sign up with Google to make it easy. Create account. Stripe might ask you for a business name here. You can just skip this for now. It's going to ask you for a lot of stuff. Skip this all. Don't skip this one though. Let's click go to sandbox. And this is going to put me in a test mode where I can safely experiment without processing real money. For this wizard on the side, just go ahead and close that. And now we need to go ahead and find our API keys. So I'll go to settings right here, developers, and then I want to click manage API keys. And here you can see 2 keys. There's a pushable key that starts with PK test, and there's a secret key that starts with SK test. These 2 keys are very different. I'd kind of think about it like this. Your publishable key is like giving someone permission to submit a payment form, whereas a secret key is like giving someone your entire bank account. So let's not do that. Now I need to store that secret key in our environment variables. And the reason we do this is because let's say we're in this scenario here where we've hard coded our secrets. We've written code like this and it gets pushed to GitHub. Even if our repo is private, this does not mean we're safe. Let's say another team member forks our repo and then it becomes public, or former employees, they might still have access to our commit history. GitHub has been breached before, and once a secret is in version control, it is there forever. You can't delete it later. So that's why we use environment variables. This is where you write good code like this, and this secret lives in what we call a .env file. And this file never gets committed to GitHub. It is in our git ignore files. So when our code runs, it reads the secret from the env file. The secret stays safe on our machine and on Vercel servers. It never touches GitHub. So let's see how we actually set this up. So I'm going to go to my Vercel dashboard here, and I'm going to navigate to my e-commerce web app project. Once I'm in here, I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to click on environment variables. I'm going to scroll down to key here. I'm going to call this Stripe underscore secret underscore key. I'm going to go back to Stripe, copy my secret key, paste this as a value in Vercel, and I want to keep all environments selected. This means that the key will be available in production, preview, and development deployments, and I can go ahead and hit save. Vercel is just going to show a pop-up confirming that everything is saved. The secret is now stored in Vercel servers, but it's not in my code. So I need to do the same thing locally so that my development environment can access Stripe. So I'm going to open up Cursor just here, and I'm going to open my project. Just make this full screen, close these up. And on the right hand side here, I'm going to make a new file and I'm going to call this .env.local. So I'm just going to type in Stripe underscore secret underscore key again, space equals, and then paste in my key and hit save. So now my local.env local file has the same secret and my actual code doesn't contain the secret. So when the code deploys, Vercel injects the secret at runtime. And when I run this locally, Node is going to read this from my .env local file. You'll know this is working when your app can make Stripe API calls without hard coding your key anywhere in your source code. One thing I did by mistake here is my secret key should actually have no spaces after the secret key and after the equal sign. Make sure you save that. If your secret key does ever get exposed, it happens, rotate it immediately. So just follow this project guide here and it's going to show you how to rotate your key away. But hopefully you've listened to the steps so far and you haven't done that. So the next thing we need to do here is actually build our payment flow. So I'm still in Cursor right here and I'm going to open up a new chat window. You can either press Control L or Command L if you're on a Mac. Otherwise, just hit this little toggle in the right hand corner. And we're going to say run this e-commerce web app by installing installing the packages first and then running the app. So I can just go ahead and hit enter, and it's going to go ahead and do its thing. Cursor is going to go ahead and install all the dependencies that I need. So everything my app needs to run this locally. That's everything my app needs to run. So all the libraries, packages, and frameworks. And it's all done now. So it started up my dev server. If you don't like running this in Cursor, you can also just copy localhost to a browser and just hit enter, and you can also see this on a browser. So in this step here, I'm going to navigate around like I'm buying something. So I can just click through here. And the thing is, now I need to create an API route. So what is an API route? Now, an API route is essentially a secure doorway or postal address within our web application. So it's a specific endpoint that allows different parts of our application or even other services to send and receive information securely. When this user in the front end clicks buy now in their shopping cart, this sends an HTTP post request to the checkout API route. This API route acts as a secure doorway. It then communicates to our backend server to verify the product price server side. Don't worry about server side. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but this is crucial to fraud prevention. Our backend server then interacts with Stripe to create a checkout session. Stripe returns a unique URL to the backend server, and then finally the user's browser is redirected to the Stripe checkout page using that URL to complete the payment. So instead, this API route ensures that sensitive payment information and price validation is handled securely on the server as opposed to the user's browser. So let's actually do this. We're going to go to the project guide right here, copy this in, and we're going to paste this into Cursor and hit enter. So Cursor is going to install the Stripe package and generate the API route. While it's doing that, let's explain what it actually just did. Actually, before we do that, make sure you like and subscribe, because it is 10:59 p.m. and I'm recording this video for you because I know this is a cool project, but please subscribe. It means a lot. All right, so this prompt that we just put in, number one is using Stripe to create checkout sessions. And that checkout session is just Stripe's payment flow, and it contains the product info, the price, and where to redirect the payment. Number 2, 3, and 4 explain why we need server-side versus client-side pricing. And this is why we have server-side pricing instead of client-side pricing. Let's look at client-side first. So I'm gonna go to the Apple page here. Oh man, I really want a new MacBook. I don't want to pay $1,999. Like, that's kind of crazy. I'm going to select this element right here, and then I'm just going to change this to $1. You know what? I'm feeling generous. $1.99. Cool. The price is now $1.99. That's all I got to pay. Do you see what I just did? I just modified the price in my browser. Now, if Apple trusted this client-side price, it would let me buy a MacBook for $1.99. And I would buy every single MacBook there is and sell them to you guys for $2.50. Because I'm that generous. But do you see the problem? We're trusting the client side, which is something that we can't do. That's why server side exists. This is our backend API route that we just looked at. It is secure and it is trusted. So someone might still change the price on the client side, but the server is going to look at that MacBook product one, and it's going to search its own dictionary and see the real price is actually $599. The server is going to ignore the front end price completely and process the payment for $599. In this case, I think the MacBook was like, what was it? $1,999? But you get the point. The front end can request the product, but it can't control what the product actually costs. So then if we go back to the rest of the commands, number 5 is going to create a checkout URL to Stripe's hosted payment page. It's going to look something like that. Number 6 is going to use our secret key from our environment variables, which we just looked at. And then number 7 is going to redirect to either a successful payment or a canceled payment. So Stripe should be all done here. And now we need to connect this button to the API. So I'm going to actually use Cursor's element select tool here, and I'm going to click this payment button. Now this is going to add this context to chat, and I'm going to ask Cursor to implement the Stripe payment API here and hit enter. All right, awesome. It looks like it worked. I'm going to deselect this, close this up. So now I'm just going to go through the workflow just here, click buy now. I'm going to type in my email address, pay. Oh, and it's working. You can see it's a different URL here. I'm on the Stripe hosted checkout page, and this is Stripe's checkout. So card details get entered on Stripe servers, not yours. You never touch card data, which drastically reduces your PCI compliance requirements. Basically just a bunch of data rules that you have to follow. And I can enter in some testing here, 242, add in any dates in the future, 29, any CVC, and I'm gonna hit pay. We have a 404 page here, so something did not go right. So let's go ahead and say this should take me to a success page as opposed to a 404 page. Please fix this. I'm gonna go ahead, hit enter, and see what happens here. That's looking a bit better, but I don't need session ID take out session ID from there. Cool, that's looking a lot better. But the problem here is the success page isn't really proof of any payment, right? Anyone can navigate to this link /success without actually paying. We need cryptographic proof that the payment has succeeded, and this is where the next step comes in, and it is webhooks. This is what secure webhooks can be used for. So right now in our app, when someone completes a payment, Stripe redirects them to our success page, but that redirect isn't proof that they've actually paid. Like anyone can type in our website /success and they're going to get that success page. So we need Stripe to tell our server, hey, that payment actually succeeded. And that is what webhooks are for. So when a payment completes, Stripe is going to send data to a URL that we specify. And this is done through a post request. And it's essentially how systems send data over the internet. This is going to include things like the amount, status, and the customer details. Now our server is going to receive this notification and we can save it to our database. We can send a confirmation email and we can fulfill the product request. But there is a problem. Any evil attacker like this guy can send a post request to our server. If our webhook endpoints accept any post request claiming to be from Stripe, attackers are going to send fake payment confirmations. They don't need to hack Stripe. They just need to know our webhook URL and send their own post request with fake data saying the payment succeeded for $599. So let's see how easy that is to do. So I'm going to go back to the project guide here and copy this in. And essentially we're saying create a Stripe webhook endpoint at app API webhooks Stripe route TS. That 1 accepts post requests with Stripe event data, 2 handles the checkout session complete event, 3 logs the event details to the console, and 4 returns a 200 status on success. So I can paste this into Cursor and let it do its thing. And Cursor is going to generate the webhook endpoint. And the thing is, the endpoint just accepts any post requests. It doesn't verify that the request actually came from Stripe. So again, if I go back to the project guide here and just copy this in, and I paste this command into the terminal pretending to be an attacker sending a fake webhook, I'm going to paste it in my terminal, hit enter, and you can see that it was in fact received. And if I look at my server terminal, it says that the session is completed and the payment status is paid. You can see here that it also says that it's skipping signature verification, and this is exactly what we need. So I can go to the project guide here. I'm going to copy in this command. I'm going to create a new window and I'm going to paste this in. And what Cursor is doing is it's updating the webhook endpoint with signature verification. So here is what a signature verification does. So Stripe is going to sign every webhook with a secret key that only you and Stripe know. This signature is sent in the Stripe signature header. To verify the signature matches the webhook body. So if the signatures match, it means the webhook is authentic. And it also means our server is going to process the event, so it'll save the data, send an email, that kind of stuff. If the signatures don't match, it indicates that there's a potentially malicious or altered webhook. And our server is going to reject this and it's going to log the event as an alert. The thing is, only Stripe can generate valid signatures because only Stripe has that signing secret. So now I want to go and get this signing secret from Stripe. So this time I'm going to go to the bottom left-hand corner of my screen here and click on developers. And I'm going to click webhooks. From here, I'm going to click add destination. And I want to search up in these events, checkout session completed. So I'm going to tick that. And I'm also searching up payment_intent.payment failed. And I'm going to click continue. Keep it on webhook endpoint. And here I'm going to call the destination name. Now for the destination name, I'm going to name it payment_webhook. And the endpoint URL, we actually need to go back to Vercel here. I'm going to go to deployments, click on the latest branch and copy this link address. I'll go back into the endpoint URL here. And we also want to add in an API/webhooks/Stripe. We can then go ahead and click create destination. And what we want to do is copy this to clipboard, this signing secret right here. Now we need to add this to Vercel. So I'm going to click back just here. I'm going to go to settings, environment variables. My key here, I'm going to call Stripe_webhook_secret. Paste in my whsec value, click save so you can see it down here. And we also need to do this in our code as we did before. So let's go to our .env file here, Stripe_webhook_secret equals, and then paste in our value, hit save. And I'm going to tell Cursor to restart my dev server here and redeploy my app so it picks up the environment variable change. Well, Cursor actually did what I was about to do, which was add in what I just did. But essentially all you need to do is go git add dot, and then we'd go git commit-m, add Stripe webhook with signature verification, and then we want to git push, but for me, it's all up to date. So Vercel is going to automatically deploy this. Let's verify that that security fix is actually working as well. So I'm going to run the same fake webhook command again, paste that in, hit enter. Guys, I'm not going to lie, it's 12:11 a.m. so I spelled Stripe wrong, and that's why it's not working. So now I need to restart my dev server, hit enter. Guys, I'm tired. I'm pretty tired, but this is a fun project, I can't lie. So let's test that command out again, hit enter, and you got invalid signature. Okay, it worked, let's go. The signature verification would have detected that this request didn't come from Stripe and it refused to process it. So everything is beautiful. Make sure you push all your changes, and I'm not talking about these environment variables. Obviously those aren't getting pushed to GitHub. That's literally the whole point of them. But all the other changes that we made to our app, they should be pushed to GitHub and deployed. So now let's test with a real payment. I need to use my live Vercel website for this. I'm gonna click into here, and that is because my Stripe webhook is configured to hit my production URL, remember? So I'm gonna go through my deployed site. I'm gonna go explore products, buy now. Let's check this out, Maximus at nextwork.org. Pay, we're gonna hit that Stripe page exactly like this. I'm gonna put in some fake details right here. Cool. I'm gonna complete the payment, and you can see that things were successful. But now I'll go into the Stripe dashboard here. I'm gonna refresh. If I go to event deliveries, you can see that the checkout session was completed. We got a status 200. So Stripe sent the payment confirmation to my server, and then my server verified the signature and responded. So the webhook is now working. Let's go. I have cryptographic proof that the payment succeeded. I am actually so happy. This is such an awesome project, guys. Make sure you're adding in screenshots as you continue, so you actually get documentation that you can then share to LinkedIn, GitHub, or any other platform. Documenting your work is really the thing that's going to help you stand out to recruiters, because it proves that you're actually doing something. Otherwise, you have nothing to show. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, all of that, and I will catch you in the next one. This is project 2, remember? So there's another one coming out tomorrow. I'm going to get some sleep.